Hey, Laker fans, pull up a chair because this is unmissable. I'm tracking a shift in identity. The kind that flips games in the fourth quarter without a highlight dunk or a logo 3. The kind you feel in the quiet possessions that usually slip away. And I'm going to show you why one very specific defender turns those possessions into our edge and why that edge matters, right? Now, when the backcourt looks loaded on paper, but thin in the one skill that decides playoff series, killing dribble penetration at the point of attack. You've seen it, and I've seen it. This roster is talented, but the leak shows up the same way every time. The first action gets contained, the second action scrambles us, and the kick-out 3 or the downhill foul comes because we're a beat late tagging the roller or closing the slot. That's been the conversation in the building for months. Yes, Rob Pelinka went big game hunting on leadership and got a proven organizer of a defense in Marcus Smart. And yes, Austin Reeves put the offense on his back to start the year with those 34-a-night explosions that kept us in games we could have bled away early. But the truth is blunter than a press release. If you want to win in May, you need one specialist who lives to erase actions before they bloom, who takes away a ball screen not with a trap, but with timing, who sees the skip pass forming and turns it into a 2-on-1 the other way. That's the missing texture. Now layer in the context nobody likes, but everybody has to manage. Injuries. LeBron had to be parked before preseason with the sciatica path. Luka tweaked that left finger and the lower left leg and had to sit after just 2 games. Smart missed Portland with the quad contusion. Gabe Vincent rolled that left ankle and got clipped for 2 to 4 weeks. And the rotation got stretched in a hurry. When you're juggling minutes and roles like that, every defensive possession becomes a test of structure instead of talent. And that's where I've been pointing my focus. Not, do we have names? But, do we have a guy whose whole career is one step, one reach, one tip that flips the math? The league gives you those guys sparingly. They don't run your offense. They don't headline your social clips, but they make the room breathe differently. That was the subtext behind all the quiet conversations the last few weeks. Could the Lakers add another perimeter eraser without torching flexibility or overpaying in draft capital that, let's be real, is limited at the moment? The board wasn't complicated. The constraints were, you know the outlines, 1 meaningful second-round chip available, not 2, a handful of salaries you can aggregate, rookies you believe in and don't want to shuffle for a marginal upgrade. And on the other side, a team that isn't thrilled by the idea of swapping an impact wing stopper for an undersized guard who doesn't fit their timeline. That's why people kept rolling the same names in and out of mock frameworks and still hitting the same wall. And then there's the hip. Thybulle had to sit recently. Before that, 3 straight games with a quiet scoring line, but those 2.7 steals in under 15 minutes that tell you exactly what he is. He makes events, not noise. This is where I pause, because if you've been with me, you know I'm not here to sell shiny objects. I'm here to explain why a player like this matters for Anthony Davis, for LeBron's late-season runway, for Smart's command of coverage, for Reeves' ability to play free on offense without carrying the toughest backcourt assignment every night. Defensively, think of our scheme as a tripod. AD is the backline solver who erases mistakes at the rim. LeBron is the roaming editor who corrects angles and cuts off the second pass. And Smart is the on-court architect who calls the switches and pre-rotations. What we've been missing is the first contact point who can navigate a screen, deny the pocket, and survive in space without help. That's where Matisse Thybulle fits like a glove. He doesn't guard actions. He disrupts them. He stunts at the nail early enough to freeze a pull-up. He peels back to tag a cutter, then springs to the corner on the flight of the ball. And when a team tries to isolate him to bait a foul, he slides hips to chest and plays high hands. Low base, all fundamentals, no gambling for the TV replay. You've watched our film versus the wings we actually have to beat in the West. The slashing guards who live in the paint. The jumbo initiators that collapse 2 and kick to 3. And you felt the same thing I felt. We needed one more player whose job is to make those stars dribble sideways. That's Thybulle's lane. Now offense, nobody should confuse him with a hub. He's not your late clock creator, and that honesty is a feature, not a bug. Put him in the corner as a credible spacer. Give him baseline cuts behind ball-watching defenders. Reward his runouts when he turns a deflection into a sprint. And you've got a two-way play finisher whose impact begins before the box score understands what happened. Pair that with Smart's timing and Reeves's combo creativity, and suddenly our half-court looks smarter. Spain actions with Thybulle as the back screener to force communication, ghost screens to free Luka when he's healthy, and that LeBron AD two-man game that now has a vertical protector on the weak side to blow up the tag and skip sequences that burned us in the past. Rotation-wise, this gives us a ton of playable combinations without sacrificing defense. When we're whole, I can see Smart, Thybulle, Reeves, LeBron, AD as a closing five. Clean rolls, clean matchups, no hiding. Against bigger wings, you slide Rui in for Reeves to add size. Against smaller, quicker backcourts, you keep Reeves in and let Thybulle check the alpha guard while Smart quarterbacks the second. On bench units, imagine Luka plus shooters with Thybulle as the pace trigger. One steal and we're at the rim before the defense blinks. And because I know you care about what comes after April 2, let's talk contract and why the front office liked the profile beyond the box score. The expiring number gives you optionality next July. If the fit sings, you can keep bird paths open and prioritize continuity around AD's prime window and LeBron's minute management. If the market shifts or a bigger fish shakes loose, you haven't trapped yourself with money that ages poorly. The risk, of course, is that expiring deals walk. The counter is culture, roles that make a specialist feel essential, and a coaching plan that treats his defense like a weapon, not a patch. That's how you convert a rental into a piece. Now, how did we get here? The quiet version, you needed a framework that made sense for a rebuilding partner and didn't drain our few remaining picks. There were proposals floating in the ether. Veteran salary in, defensive wing out, a single second as grease, that sounded cute but didn't pass the other side's basketball fit. If you were Portland, why stack another guard who needs touches? Why accept a piece that overlaps with what you're already trying to develop? That's why this took more than a phone call. It took creativity, it took patience, and it took alignment on what he is, a role star. You don't pay superstar tax for a role star, but you do pay a premium if the role star turns your weakness into a strength in the playoffs. That's the calculation. And while we waited, the injuries forced us to confront the present tense. With LeBron's ramp cautiously plotted, Luka's finger and leg monitored, Smart's quad treated conservatively, and Vincent shelved for a couple of weeks, you needed a way to win ugly possessions. That's why I've been beating this drum, because ugly possessions decide series. Think about our problem matchups. Against Phoenix, Thybulle chases movement and takes oxygen away from their off-ball stuff. Against Minnesota, he bodies the cutters and denies the middle. Against OKC, he shades the drive line and makes their guards pick up earlier. Against Denver, he reduces the comfort of those slot entries that make their whole offense hum. He's not a Jokic answer, nobody is, but he is a pass-to-tilt-the-help answer, and that wins you the margins around the edges of a superstar's gravity. Strategy-wise, this also lets J.J. Redick play with toggles. Box and one when a heater breaks out. Thybulle is your one. Full court shade on a small to burn a few seconds and force an early screen? He'll do it without fouling. Late-game ATOs where the opponent tries to shake a shooter free with a flare into slip. He sees it coming, talks it out, and meets the catch high hands. And here's the part a lot of folks miss. Adding a specialist clarifies everyone else. Reeves doesn't have to waste gas on the toughest guard every night and can pick his spots to attack. Smart can conserve a couple of the use-your-body possessions for May. AD gets a cleaner picture of weak side timing because the first drive didn't blow by. LeBron can live in the help lanes he loves, jumping passing angles and kick-starting transition without selling out the glass. That's how one defender bends the whole ecosystem. And it scales across coverages. Ice onside pick and roll to sit on the hip and deny the middle, top lock on shooters to kill pin downs before they breathe, peel switch when the ball handler snakes the screen, then a late stunt to the slot to bait the extra pass and still recover to the corner. You feel those choices in the fourth quarter when whistles tighten and every cut is a test of communication. Give me a 2-point lead with 90 seconds left and watch how a single chest-to-shoulder slide at the nail buys AD an extra half beat. To protect the rim without overhelping. That's not a block of the night. That's a May win. I'm going to bring you in on the emotional side too, because this fan base lives on feel. We've had years where we tried to out-talent the league and ran into teams who out-detailed us. This move says, we choose detail. It says we'll win the 2 or 3 possessions per quarter that never trend on social but always show up in a series win probability chart. It says we're grown-ups about roster building. And yes, it says we heard you. Every comment about the point of attack, every late-night DM asking for a wing who'd rather take a charge than a selfie. That matters inside a locker room. Role clarity quiets minds. When a guy walks in, knowing his job is to erase the heater, everyone else gets louder in their own lane. Reeves becomes a rhythm scorer instead of a minute-to-minute firefighter. Smart can save his body for the bully switches that will come in. LeBron times his digs to turn rebounds into runway. AD can live at the level on purpose, not out of panic. That's identity, and identity travels. Before I go any further, jump in the comments right now and tell me how you'd deploy him once the room is healthy. Do you close with Smart, Thybulle, Reeves, LeBron, AD, no matter the matchup? Or do you prefer Rui in for Reeves against Jumbo Wings? And what's your early toggle? Drop with AD and stay home on shooters, or up at the level and trust our rotations? Would you sprinkle in a box and one against a hot hand, or press full court? For 8 seconds just to bleed the clock? Your read matters. I'll build the follow-up breakdown around the smartest thread and name-check the top 3 suggestions in the next upload. And while you're thinking through it, picture the West matchups that define our spring. Versus Phoenix, he rides over the top on wide pin downs and steals the angle that frees their corner 3. Versus Minnesota, he bodies cutters through the lane so AD isn't tagging and recovering on a string. Against OKC, he shades early to the strong hand and forces pickups at 15 feet instead of 8. Versus Denver, he shrinks the slot to make those pocket passes to the short roll a touch, late, which is all AD needs to reset the wall. That's the chess, and that's why you add a piece like this. Now, back to the tape and the news cycle you came for, because timing is everything and patience has a payoff when the evaluation is clear. We wanted the defender who makes a coach comfortable and an opponent uncomfortable. We wanted the specialist who turns oh no into there it is. And tonight, that's exactly who we got. The Los Angeles Lakers have acquired Matisse Thybulle, and the identity shift I've been hinting at just became real ink, real minutes, and real matchups. No dancing around it. This is a defense-first, playoff-minded addition that fits the room, the scheme, and the calendar. I won't dress it up with transaction poetry. Terms are the front office's paper, the fit is our business here, and the fit is clean. Day 1, he walks in and takes the toughest guard. Day 1, he raises our deflection count and lowers our help frequency. Day 1, he gives AD a partner who shrinks driving angles before the paint. Offensively, he runs, he screens, he cuts, he hits the corner 3, you need him to hit at playoff volume, and when he doesn't have the ball, he never stands still. Layer in second side actions. Ghost into Spain to force a switch, 45 cut behind ball-watching wings, short roll connect passes when teams overplay the handoff, and you've got a play finisher who widens the floor without demanding it. The key, the hip, managed day to day with the performance staff. The plan is conservative minutes at first, matchup-based usage, nothing reckless, everything geared toward being whole when it counts. Short term, this softens the burden on a backcourt stretched by injuries. Medium term, it gives Redick a card to play when a series turns into a chessboard. Long term, it keeps the cap sheet readable in July while preserving the option to keep what works. That's mature team building. That's why I'm all in on the logic even before the first box score pops. And because good defense is a culture, not a clip, think about the downstream habits this sparks. Practices get louder on the weak side X call. Closeouts get squarer. We stop overhelping on drives that no longer need a fire drill. Transition defense tightens because your first instinct after a miss isn't who's matched, but where is the most dangerous ball handler and is Matisse on him? You can feel the temperature drop in those swing moments. The 2-for-1 at the end of quarters where a bad foul used to hand back points. The third quarter lull where a 3-minute drought becomes survivable because the other team never gets the rhythm 3. Coaches love players who turn edits into habits. He's that guy. I'll rap with the professional read and then hand it back to you. Bottom line, the Lakers targeted their soft spot and replaced it with a specialist whose value spikes in the postseason. In a month defined by injury management and lineup shuffling, they invested in low-usage impact that travels. If you believe defense still wins in May, you like this. If you believe roles win rings around stars, you love it. Tell me below if you see him as a permanent closer or a matchup tool, and tell me which opponent's actions you think he breaks first. Flare screens, Spain twists, Chicago action out of timeouts, or the simple empty corner drive teams used to spam against us. If you want more of this kind of fast film, cap clarity, and honest talk that treats you like the smartest fan in the room, hit subscribe, tap like, and ring that bell so you never miss the next Lakers News Fan Report. I'm here after every game with reads and now with a defender who turns reads into results.